Hey everyone, and welcome to Earthquakes Daily for June 14th. My name is Alessandro Batello, and today we'll be looking at all of the earthquake activity that has been happening around the world in the previous 24 hours. And to do that, we're over here at the USGS, United States Geological Survey, and then we'll go over to the volcanodiscovery.com website as well to get information from about a dozen different resources from around the world, so different data sets produced by countries around the world. So both these resources are found in the description, and they'll be a really great resource to give us a clear picture of what's been happening seismically in the last 24 hours. So starting here at the USGS, we've got the map currently set to 2.5 magnitude earthquakes and greater, starting over here in Southeast Asia and Oceania, and then we'll move around from there. In southern Indonesia, we've got a couple of 4s, a 4.4 as well as a 4.5. Heading up into the eastern coast of Japan, north of Tokyo, 4.2 there. Central China actually getting a 4.3, northwestern China getting a 4.4. Let's check out Africa. We do have one just south of Yemen, a 5.5, very large earthquake there. Looks like there might be some, there's some aftershocks right there underneath it. You can barely see it here. Let's see, we'll zoom in and see what those are. There we go. So we've got a 4.5 as well, 5.5 and a 4.5 just off the coast of Yemen and Somalia. Heading into the Mediterranean right there in Greece, that is a 4.4. And up into the Arctic Circle, nothing at this time. So we'll come on down towards Antarctica and then move into South America, where there's none being reported by the USGS. So we'll go ahead and zoom in on Central America and the Caribbean. Lots of activity there. So to the northeast of Puerto Rico, that is a 3.9 as well as a 2.6. We've got a 2.5. Very recent one in the southwest of Puerto Rico, 3.1. Over here off the coast of Dominican Republic at 2.7 and a 5.0 right there in the region. So if you are interested in any tsunami warnings and buoy movement across the oceans, you can check out the link for that. That is down in the description. So that's a very helpful resource when you start getting some of these larger earthquakes, especially very close to some of these smaller islands too, or really anywhere along the coast. So that's also a great additional resource you can find there. In Central America, 4.7 as well as a 4.4. Off the coast of Guatemala, that is a 4.0 and a 4.2. Let's move over towards Hawaii. We've got a couple there on the Big Island. That is a 2.6 as well as a 2.7. In the continental United States, actually starting in Baja California, that is a 3.5 right up into Southern California, 3.2 in Westmoreland, as well as a 2.8 in San Jacinto, California. To the north of San Francisco at the Geysers, a 3.5, where we actually had a 4.1, I believe, yesterday. And here in Northern California, Somes Bar, 2.8 off the coast of Gold Beach, Oregon. That is a 2.7 over by Stanley, Idaho at a 2.6 and a 2.7. Moving into Texas, we've got a 2.8 at White City. Down here in South Texas, actually, Fowlerton at 2.7. And then in Oklahoma, Quinton at 2.8. And way over to the east, Ridgely, Tennessee, 2.5. Heading up into Alaska, we've got in the south a 3.7 as well as a 4.8 by Sandpoint, Alaska. Pretty large earthquake there. In the northwest, a 2.7 right here in the southern portion of the state at 3.0, a 2.8, a 3.5, and a 2.8. So you're going to go ahead and zoom out and just look at the United States and see where all of our smaller 0.5 earthquakes and greater are clustering in the last day. So seeing definitely an increase in frequency, the magnitude bumping up slightly in Alaska as well. Continental United States, definitely a decrease in frequency. It's starting to spread back out a little bit more. Magnitude staying very, very consistent there. All right, so we'll go ahead and move over to volcanodiscovery.com, which we'll get a nice view of everything that's been happening around the rest of the world, from all these smaller earthquakes and large earthquakes too. Starting off with our 4.0 magnitude earthquakes in Greater and Southeast Asia and Oceania. And we'll also check out the small ones as we move along too. So just north of New Zealand in the Kermadec Island region, we've got a 4.9 magnitude earthquake there. All of our 3s, you've got about 4 down here in the southern portion of the South Island, as well as about 4 up here in the northern portion of the North Island. All of the 2.0 and greater, getting them scattered all throughout New Zealand. The South Island getting quite a few, the North Island continuing to get them as well. So definitely seeing a little bit of a decrease in the frequency of these smaller ones, but a definite jump up, seeing a lot more 3s throughout New Zealand right now. Big decrease in the amount of 4s though that we have been seeing in the Kermadec Island region, including Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa to the north. We've got a 2.6 here in Victoria in southeastern Australia. In Southeast Asia, looking like definite decrease in the frequency of these earthquakes. We do have some 4s in the south, right there in central Indonesia, southeastern Philippines getting a 4.1, western Indonesia 4.4 there. All the 3.0s in greater southern Indonesia, as well as central Indonesia and southern Philippines. And then all the smaller earthquakes clustering right there in the southern portion or southern half of the Philippines, and as well as up there a little bit in the north as well. So big decrease in activity in Southeast Asia, lots of loss of smaller earthquakes, a lot less of them, and less of the moderate sized earthquakes too. We had some 5s passing through yesterday, but not seeing any today. Let's move up into Japan and just check out our 4.0. So just the one north of Tokyo, 4.3 there, getting a couple over off that coast of western or eastern Russia, 4.4s, and then over off the coast of Kamchatka, 4.0 there. 3.0 and greater, getting about 10 of those all the way up and down from the south to the north in Japan. And then the smaller earthquakes, just a few, an aftershock from that 4 north of Tokyo, and a couple up here in the northeast of the islands, 2.5. Moving into Central Asia, starting with just our 4.0. So Central China getting a 4.3 over here on northern Afghanistan, Tajikistan border, 4.7, northwestern China, 4.4 and a 4.8. Eastern Kazakhstan, that's a 4.8 there. All of our smaller earthquakes in northwestern China, not smaller, but 3.0 and greater. Northwestern China on the border with Kazakhstan getting a couple as well. Here over in Tajikistan, you've got a 3.9, as well as Western China, a 3.7. And right here in northeastern India, right in the Himalayan mountain range, a 3.1. Smaller earthquakes in the region clustering there in northern Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan, as well as a few over here in eastern Kazakhstan. In Africa, we've got a couple in South Africa, 2.6 and a 2.7, as well as a couple off the coast of Madagascar. We've got our aftershocks and our 5.5, so 5.5 and a 4.5 confirmed by the USGS. We've got it here as well. In Middle East and the Mediterranean, let's see if there's any other 4s. No 4s today, but what about our 3s? You've got them about half a dozen almost right there on the Iraq-Iran border. Southern Iran getting a 3.0. Got a 3.6 and 3.0 on the Iraq-Iran border. Northern Iran getting a 3.2 and a 3.4. Off the coast of Turkey, a 3.2 and a 3.0. Central Greece getting a 3.6. Romania, that is a 3.1 there. Northern Italy, a 3.0. And in Tunisia, 3.2. Off the coast of Tunisia, 3.0. And a 3.1 off the coast of Morocco. Smaller earthquakes in the region clustering between Turkey and Greece like they often do. You're getting a few over here in central and eastern Turkey, 2.0, a 2.0, and a 2.1. And then right up through Italy, you're getting several of those. And over in Spain and Portugal just off the coast. So still definitely seeing a decrease in the activity in the Mediterranean. Very small sized earthquakes. And the frequency has been dropping down or staying a little lower even than it has been over the past couple months, which was definitely lower to the period before that. Up in Scandinavia, in Sweden, we've got a 2.3 as well as a 2.5 in Finland. Southwestern Iceland getting a 2.0 and a couple up here in the north, a 2.2. Off the coast of northern Canada, Newfoundland and Quebec, that is a 2.8 there. Scanning up to the Arctic Circle, not seeing anything else at this time. So we'll come on down towards Antarctica. And nothing going on there, so we'll zoom into South America, starting in Chile with our 4.0 and greater. No 4.0s today. 3.0s, we do have them scattered all around. One just south of Santiago, 3.2. A 3.1 here in central Argentina, as well as 3.0s by San Juan, Argentina, and up 3.6 in the Cordoba region, at 3.1 in Catamarca. In northwestern Argentina, several 3s there, mid-range 3s. In northern Chile, 3.0 and a 3.5. Off the coast, a 3.2. Smaller earthquakes in the region, you're getting them around Santiago, clustering there where we've got our 3s. Northwestern Argentina as well. So definitely the consistency or the frequency of these smaller range earthquakes staying the same. Definitely seeing a big drop in magnitude all around the world, including here. Outside of Lima, we've got a 3.7. We'll look at our 4 right off the coast of Ecuador. That is a 4.0. Now our 3s, getting a couple of 3 aftershocks there, and 1 up to the north in Venezuela, 3.4 there, as well as a 2.5 over here to the west. In the Caribbean, very, very active. So we already saw that there's a 5.0 there between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, several other 3s in the area, and some mid-range too. So very, very active region, continuing to be so. In Central America and Mexico, we'll look at just our 4s. So southern Mexico, you got a 4.3 there, a 4.5 off the coast of Guatemala, as well as a 4.6 off the coast of Nicaragua and Costa Rica at 4.7 and at 4.2. And all of the 3.0, lots of 3s all the way from Panama up into central Mexico and even northern Mexico, getting a 3.9 there. You've got a 4.0 in the Gulf of California and a very active Baja California and Southern California right here, with some 3.1s, a 3.5, 3.3, and 3.2, and there's another one in there as well, so at least 5 earthquakes there. Smaller earthquakes in Central America, so southern Mexico getting a 2.7, getting a few here and there off the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras. So this area is staying pretty active, no big increase or decrease since yesterday, very well spread out, lots of those 3.0 range frequency, pretty high frequency of those 3.0s, and just a few 4.0s scattered in there. So this entire ridge, and then over into the Caribbean as well, being very, very active, continuing to do so. Whereas if we zoom out and look at the rest of the world on a whole, most things are calming down, at least in the last 24 hours. So New Zealand staying very consistent, the Kermadec Island region, the rest of Oceania definitely seeing a big drop there in activity, as well as Southeast Asia, Japan. Central Asia staying fairly consistent, but seeing a little bit of a drop in magnitude there. An increase in the Middle East, the Mediterranean staying very calm. We'll be watching out for this 4.5 and 5.5 just south of Yemen to start seeing if we see any other 5s in that region. And then over into Iceland, staying very consistent there with some small range 2s. And definitely a big drop in South America, but seeing some mid-range activity up in the northern portion of the continent, as well as right there in the Caribbean and the Central America and Mexico plate right there. So that's a very important region, very, very active, continuing to be so, getting some moderate activity in the United States and Alaska, the largest being that 4.8 there south of Sandpoint, Alaska. So even though there's less earthquakes in the U.S., starting to see a little bit of an increase in the magnitude, both in contiguous and Alaskan areas. All right, everyone, so that's our report for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Powerful magnitude 5.0 earthquake hit now Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. The epicenter was located at a depth of 80.0 kilometers. So far there have been no reports of any damages or casualties caused by the earthquake, and local authorities have not issued a tsunami. Extensive diversity and complexity of tectonic regimes characterizes the perimeter of the Caribbean plate, involving no fewer than 4 major plates: North America, South America, Nazca, and Cocos. Inclined zones of deep earthquakes, weighted Ibanez zones, ocean trenches, and arcs of volcanoes clearly indicate subduction of oceanic lithosphere along the Central American and Atlantic Ocean margins of the Caribbean plate, while crustal seismicity in Guatemala, northern Venezuela, and the Cayman Ridge and Cayman Trench indicate transform fault and pull-apart basin tectonics. Along the northern margin of the Caribbean plate, the North America plate moves westwards with respect to the Caribbean plate at a velocity of approximately 20 mm/year. Motion is accommodated along several major transform faults that extend eastward from Isla de Rodin to Haiti, including the Swan Island Fault and the Orient Fault. These faults represent the southern and northern boundaries of the Cayman Trench. Further east, from the Dominican Republic to the island of Barbuda, relative motion between the North America Plate and the Caribbean Plate becomes increasingly complex and is partially accommodated by nearly arc-parallel subduction of the North America Plate beneath the Caribbean Plate. This results in the formation of the deep Puerto Rico Trench and a zone of intermediate focus earthquakes, 70 to 300 kilometers depth, within the subducted slab. Although the Puerto Rico subduction zone is thought to be capable of generating a megathrust earthquake, there have been no such events in the past century. The last probable interplate, thrust fault, event here occurred on May 2, 1787 and was widely felt throughout the island with documented destruction across the entire northern coast, including Arecibo and San Juan. Since 1900, the two largest earthquakes to occur in this region were the August 4, 1946 M8.0 Samama earthquake in northeastern Hispaniola and the July 29, 1943 M7.